Oh, hello, good evening. It's Sunday, it's 8 o'clock. It's time for some Doctor Who, because every Sunday is Doctor Who day. I'm just got my coffee. I literally just sat down. Looking forward to tonight. I'm looking forward to Doctor Who night every Sunday, but tonight I'm looking forward to it. Ian has just joined me in the chat. Hello, Ian. Just getting coffee too. Good. It should be a really good night tonight. So I want to make a correction as well. I said next week we're going to be doing World Enough and Time. Yes, that is true, but we're going to be doing World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls. I forgot to put that on. We're going to be doing both episodes in the same week. So it'll make the next week a little bit longer, but not really, because obviously they sort of 2 45-minute episodes. So this is about the same as a 4-parter, really. So yeah, next week is going to be World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls, which means that it'll lead into Twice Upon a Time. So it should lead into it quite nicely. So tonight we're starting off with the first part of the Cyberman story, which is the 10th planet. And I'm really looking forward to this, because the last time I saw this was when I bought the DVD, and that was just before, I guess, Twice Upon a Time? No, it wasn't actually. No, it was at the start of the Capaldi season, and I watched it again before Twice Upon a Time. So that was the last time I saw it. So I'm looking forward to seeing this again, because obviously it's one of those episodes whereby, first of all, it's the first time the Doctor regenerates. It's the first time we meet the Cybermen. It's quite a quartermass kind of episode. It does the sort of horror element pretty well in the terms of the science fiction storytelling. They've chosen an unusual location. I guess they were inspired probably by something like The Thing, because they've chosen an isolated location in the Antarctic base, and so these people are by themselves, which is really good, which means that you can sort of limit the size of your cast. But you don't really. The size of the cast is quite sizable. It's not bad. If you look at the cast list for this episode, there's quite a few people in it. And Doctor Who gets a rag in sometimes for, wonky sets and things like that. That's really more of a JNT era kind of thing. I've got to be honest. That's when they were trying to kill Doctor Who. So, yeah, as of the 60s, though, the sets are kind of quite good. And what impressed me even more was the fact that I saw, whilst I was sort of digging around and having a look for different things for this episode, I came across the unused footage from Twice Upon a Time. And I was amazed at just how much of the set they recreated. And it was a hell of a lot more than I thought. And some of the deleted scenes that you can view on YouTube, it just makes you wonder why the hell they didn't just film episode 4. It's crazy. I mean, they could have integrated part of episode 4 into Twice Upon a Time. Weird. Just weird. Like, the amount of money it must have cost to have replicated that set so accurately. Back and I watched K9 and Company with my upstairs neighbours last night. Do you know, I've had K9 and Company for so long, I still refuse to watch it. Based upon the fact that I know exactly what I'm going to get, and I want to watch it. I just can't bring myself to do it because it'll be. I think it'll be disheartening. And as much love as I got for Sarah Jane and the dog, it's just I can't really. I want to watch it just so I can go, all right, I've definitely seen it now. But at the same time, do I really want to put myself to it and sort of taint, I guess, my memory of Sarah Jane? There was a Midsomer Murders with a robot dog for some reason. Yeah. I mean, there was a bit. Isn't there a bit in there which is kind of sort of hot fuzz, like a lot of people in robes walking around in the dark? I don't. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, oh, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the greater good. Yes, I was sure. I was absolutely sure. I've got a little bit of a different setup tonight, so hopefully this will work a little bit better. But like I said, yeah, good cast for this episode. You got Ben and Polly, which is always good because I think Ben is brilliant. Ben's a brilliant character. He's this harsh, stern. This is a guy that doesn't take no crap. And we get to see him in later episodes. I think he comes in. I want to say the War Machines. I believe he comes in the War Machines. Let me just have a quick check. The Doctor Who? I'm pretty sure he comes in the War Machines, and then I've got IMDb open here. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. I'm awkward. Yes, he does. Oh, cool. The character of Michael Craig is obviously a bit sad because he passed away when he was only 56. 1998 he passed away. I mean, it's such a shame that he never got to see the revival of the show. In particular, I've recently purchased the Macro Terror, and that's one of the ones that we're going to be watching at some point down the line. But his characterization of Ben is really good. I mean, it's he starts off in the War Machines, goes through the Smugglers, the 10th Planet, Power of the Daleks, Highlanders, Underwater Menace, the Moon Base, and the Macro Terror and the Faceless Ones, which is one that we mentioned last week, due to Pauline Collins being in it. He's this. If I had to say anything about his character, it's that he's a real takes no crap kind of character, and I tend to find that those sort of characters are no longer being inserted into Doctor Who. I don't know why, but I do tend to find that those sort of characters aren't being written anymore. And it's really enjoyable watching the older Doctor Who's. In particular, I've mentioned, Ian Chesterton has a couple of good fist fights. I mean, he gets into scraps with people in like Keys of Marinus and in Space Museum and in The Chase. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with people, in Doctor Who now, unwilling to throw punches. I know that they're trying to say, like, there's better ways of dealing with it, but that's up to the Doctor. That's not up to the Doctor's trying to show people a better way. How can you show somebody a better way if they already start off pretty good? I mean, if I was going to write a Doctor Who companion, to be honest with you, if I was going to write a Doctor Who companion, I'd probably want to pick something like a boxer or a fighter. Rory punched Hitler. Yeah, but they played for comedy. They're not really fights, are they? They're not. We're not talking about full on scraps. Proper fisticuffs, Queensberry rules kind of thing. I mean, I would. That's the sort of character that I would probably write for the Doctor. Not to say that boxers are uncivilized, but somebody who is more of a not necessarily an in-ring boxer, but more of a fights for scraps on the streets kind of thing. Dugan. I mean, it would be a nice just to have. I'd probably choose something a little bit earlier as well. I'd probably go back a little bit. So let's say 1922, a boxer, street fighter, proper sort of fighter from 1922. I think that would make an interesting character because you'd be able to look at commentary on the human condition as it is today, and you'd have that mentality of the fighter as well. I think that'd be an interesting character to pair with the Doctor. But yeah, so we get some good stuff. Not really great action from Polly in this one. She does better. It's not bad. It's just she's a bit. I think she's a bit underused. And of course, we get the absence of the Doctor around about episode 3. Something that I didn't realise, and I'll bring it up in this episode when we start watching it, is round about the episode 3 where the Doctor comes ill, and it's something that to be honest with you, how long has this episode been a thing? 55 years now. It was literally yesterday when I went, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I'm ready to go. I've got episode 1 of Doctor Who, the 10th Planet, queued up. I'm just sorting up my my stuff. Some of my did you knows. So look here, let's get that sorted. So if you are ready to go, I might need to turn the volume down on this. I've pretty much got it fairly at 100%. Yes, I do. I need to turn it down quite a bit. So yeah, let's crack on with Doctor Who, the 10th Planet, the introduction of the Cybermen. In 3, 2, 1, go! Go? Hey. Still, the best opening. The best opening. I mean, I grew up with, Peter Davison with the Peter Howell theme, and I love the Howell theme. It's the best theme. It is the best theme. But in terms of graphically different, it's amazing. And a nice little stock footage starter. Let me just look through it here, see if I can see anything. So yeah, we set in Antarctica in 1986, which was kind of interesting when they done. How old are you? I am 41. Yeah, all this set that I was actually 41 last Monday. All this set was recreated meticulously for Twice Upon a Time, and they didn't use it. And of course, the guy there is. Let me just go back. Got coffee in my hand. I need to put stuff down. Beautiful looking set, though. Great looking set design. Let's scroll on here. So the guy playing the general there is Robert Beatty, and he's probably, in terms of sci-fi, you probably recognise him and go, well, I know his face from somewhere, but I can't quite place it. And you probably would if I said he's the tanker captain from Superman 3 or the president from Superman 4. He's in Blake 7 as well. So he moves in sci-fi circle, moved in sci-fi circles. You couldn't do that these days. You couldn't have pictures of women up on the wall. Good grief, no.
It's blowing like crazy out there. I can see it. Snow, and more snow.
No police box. Not a bad looking set. Snow is quite an easy thing to do, but the story went £900 over budget, but it paid off. I mean, I mean, it went £900 over budget 55 years ago. We're watching it now. I mean, you can't. What do you want to say about that? Yeah, what was it? 1960. Yeah, 1966. So yeah, 53 years ago. So I think £900 going over budget was probably worth it. So how old is he now? He's got to be at this point. He's got to be 60, I think. Interesting guy away holding the TARDIS there. It looks like he's holding the TARDIS anyway. Yeah, Earl Cameron. Earl Cameron, CBE, plays the Officer Williams in this. Deserves some celebration, that guy. Yeah, 55, 63, yeah, 58-ish, yeah. He wasn't that old. I mean, he was only 67 when he died, wasn't he, in 75? But yeah, Earl Cameron, CBE, plays Williams in this. And he's the pilot in the rocket. He's still alive. He's the oldest surviving cast member of Doctor Who. He's 102 years old. And get this, he retired from acting 5 years ago. He was 97. Retiring. I mean, he was in Inception. Brilliant stuff. Good looking set, in general. The costumes in this are pretty solid.
Come on, hurry it up. Come on, let's go. Come on. Pop, will you move it? Pop, let's go. Come on. Just a moment. Now, who are you or where are you going there?
Polystyrene snow.
You can knock off the joke. She's not joking. Look, buddy, I want the truth and...
It actually caused real problems with actors on the set. So, yeah.
Oh boy, Tito, get the CO.
I've just missed something with trivia then. I was about to... the 10th Planet book was good. The 10th Planet serial was good. I just missed something with the trivia there. Never mind.
I know.
Michael Chris found working with the fake snow difficulty. He had just undergone surgery to remove a bone chip from his nose, which had suffered a burst blood vessel, which nearly cost him his life. And the Jabberlite snow blown around film stage irritated his nose badly. He met his future wife, production assistant Edwina Verna, on the show. On the story, she threw polystyrene snow in his face as a practical joke, aggravated the injury, and he had aggravated the injury he suffered.
You don't intend you any harm, General. I can assure you of that.
Now, I don't know if Ben and Polly become a thing later on. As a couple, I don't recall. I'd have to go back and watch, but I don't recall them ever sort of hooking up. But they do kind of seem to. They do kind of seem like a couple, and they naturally a couple. Like, it's not like. She gets a bit flirty with Jamie Moonves. Yeah, I mean, there's a stuff like that happens, like sort of back and forth with like the Macro Terror as well. But these two do seem like they're a natural fit. So So apparently, World Enough and Time is a prequel to this. That's not true. How can that possibly be true? He regenerates. Oh, I see. World Enough and Time is a prequel to this. Yes, I'm getting confused. So,
You're right. They're out of position by more than 100 miles. Looks like it.
look how wonderful our set is. It's just good, gauges and dials, positioned. Even the guy in the background there, he's tweaking. There's Cameron, but there he's talking. Even this was just a small set, looked pretty decent. The U-bend pipe, not so much.
Oh. 4, 3, 2. Come. Try again. Him. She cannot move it back in sunrise. Not asking. Did you read conversation? Yes.
The fourth episode of the Missing of the BBC Archives listed as one of the top 10 missing British television programmes alongside BBC News Studio commentary on the Apollo 11 mission. Boy, did they know how to cock things up.
That's exactly what it reasons if it was an orbit between Mars and Venus. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Look, Peter Borden lost episode 4. Yeah. Again, BBC, nothing surprised me. Nothing. I think this set works really, really well. It's very Jerry Anderson looking. Like it looks like it would fit in with a sort of Stingray. I mean, space travel is still fairly new at this point. So I think it does still work. Mm-hmm. 1966 before most of the man played it. So yeah.
Hey, you crazy? Anyway, then take me to the general. I think perhaps I can help him. Oh, I don't know. Now look here, Sergeant. This is urgent, I insist.
Black astronaut, cool. I mean, yeah, they would. I think Doctor Who, particularly in the classic series, one of the things that they would do is anytime they would set something in the future, they would normally cast against type. That's like when we were watching Battlefield. They cast Brigadier Barbera. They decided to make it a woman, but they decided because it was supposed to be set in the future, they decided to make it a black woman as well. So they were going against type, and they do it quite frequently with most Doctor Who. Particularly, again, of the classic era. Same thing with Robot when they made the woman the head of the think tank institute.
You have strength two only. Come in, please. Speak up.
Real World 1983, yes. Of course, this is set in 1986, which would have been the Challenger disaster. I can still remember it. It's burnt into my brain. Yes, Real World 1983 first Black Spaceman, yes. But I think they've done a decent job with the sets. Like I said, the sets are a little bit, Stingray, a little bit, that in that Jerry Anderson vibe.
Yeah.
But I think they work. I think this episode does a good job of building intrigue as well. And the music isn't hokey. You'll notice that? In fact, the music feels very, very much sort of, do you remember the Invaders? The aliens with the wonky finger? It feels sort of like that, but not quite as, blustery. That is a wonderful set, and they knew how to Glowed red and disappeared. Yeah, they always just left a scorch mark on the floor. Even if they're standing up straight, there's a scorch mark. It's like, how did that happen? And it was difficult to know what would kill them because, like, they died from a shock, but also they punched them really hard as well. They pop like balloons. Not a bad looking costume either. They've made an effort here. Was it David Vincent and then oh god, now you're asking. I'd have to look that up. I shall look that up immediately. Was David Vincent, yes. Now, what impresses me a lot about this particular set, more than anything else, is the fact that I know what sort of cameras are being used here. I know how heavy and bulky and awkward they are to use. So anytime that you see in these cameras in the upstairs position, that they probably have got nothing but cranes.
Well, it looks like South America, but it can't be done. Nonsense, how could it be? It's unbelievable, that's surely Africa. Yes, exactly, and that is Malaysia. Oh, it can't be, there's nothing to reflect on.
No, they've done, other shows have done sort of twin planets before. I'm not sure I like the idea of it. I remember the movie The Far Side of the Sun and things like that. It's an interesting concept, but I think parallel universe works best. So the way it's supposed to have worked is that Mondas and Earth were supposed to be in a binary orbit, and then the moon came along, disrupted the gravity, and then Mondas just went sailing off. Two reasons why I don't like that. One, I think it's a bit of a hokey thing that the moon just shows up. And number two, it gives credit the episode bloody Kill the Moon. Can't be doing that.
Yes, that's right. May I ask you that one? After you don't know nothing about them. As the Secretary General of International Space,
Let me just scroll down here.
very hard to believe, General. Are you quite?
So yeah, Richard Beatty, his character in this has a clear sort of descent, and he kind of steps over a cliff in this, and it's quite good. But it's great because he becomes that character that becomes blind to his own insanity, and no matter how you try to explain it to him, he just can't see it. So look, yeah, there's going to be an alternate Earth in the story way back in season 1. Matriarchal society with double of Barbara as queen. Yeah, I mean they get again. I don't really have a problem with a double Earth. But again, I'm kind of happy that Mondas is sort of like an Earth's twin without being Earth, without being a parallel Earth. I just never liked the idea of it becoming an exoplanet. I mean, so the other thing about that as well is that there was a bit of confusion going into. I mean, even right up until I want to say World Enough in Time, because it was believed that at one point, and some still believe it, that Mondas, Planet 14, and Marinus are all the same planet. And in World Enough in Time, the Doctor actually points out that no, they all developed Cybermen, but they are separate planets. So that was kind of that was kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, the shock from Once Upon a Time. I'm glad they didn't change that. I'm glad they didn't try to do an updated effect of the thing landing and just used, because it shows respect to the people that made this, and it respects the show. And it's one of the things. That's one of the things that pisses me off when they do when they try to do Star Trek Discovery, was the fact that they radically changed a lot. And I can understand them wanting to change a lot, but cut it dead. Don't try to say this is the same show, because how can you say it's the same show if you've changed everything? Whereas with Doctor Who says no, this is the same show, and then shows you it's the same show. Yeah, you could tweak stuff, make the suits look a little bit better, make them a little bit tighter, a little bit firmer. But it made me so happy to see these guys back. He's about to get a Cyberman Kung Fu chop to the neck. Oh, what happened there? For some reason, something went really wrong. I've absolutely lost the episode. Oh, technical difficulty. How I. Where were we? It's right at the end as well. It was right at the end. Of all the places for the cock up. Unbelievable. There we are. There's episode 1 out the way. A good setup for the story. Good. I mean, it's a little bit of the what are you doing here? You're obviously the troublemakers in the plot, which is something I'm not really happy about. But I mean, we're talking 1966. This hadn't become a thing. It's later made a thing whereby in Doctor Who they do it over and over again. And it now, First Base Under Siege. Yeah. I mean, they kind of had the ship under siege in Sensorites, and obviously, but I mean, this is a very similar thing. But what I'm saying is that they would have the Doctor show up and then have the Doctor blamed for everything that's going on, and this, he knows something about it, therefore he's to blame. this sort of story type writing happens quite a bit further through Doctor Who's history, and it's a very it's very much happened a lot after yes, and it was one of those things. It was a trope that I just didn't like, and everybody was a little bit more. It makes people a little bit more dense when you just start blaming this person for these things that have gone wrong, that couldn't possibly have anything to do with them. In this, it's a little bit like, well, he knows something because this planet showed up and he knew it was going to happen before it happened. So yeah, anyway, this episode 2. Hopefully this one will actually play without technical difficulties. Oh, let's not bank on that. Yeah, happening after Ice Warriors, Moonbase. Yeah, I mean, it becomes a little bit of an annoyance. They did a little bit in Sea Devils and things like that, you know, it's just... do like this cybermen. Like, you can see his eye. That's creepy. Like, imagine the mess that's under that. Like, if I'm going to do a cyberman, I'm going to do that, but I'm just going to take the skin off. Just so you can see it all. That would be horrific. Richard Beatty, by the way, had the same hairdo in everything. That hairline never changed. He had the same coif to the side, in everything. Absolutely everything. When he was in Horatio Hornblower, same coif. Superman, same coif. This must have been an expensive set at the time as well, with all those monitors around the place. I think you've got to think about that. People like Star Trek didn't start putting monitors into the sets until they started doing the films. I'm not sure what they're going in disguise, but okay. We fooling like.
Having trouble there, sir. It's right.
Yeah, Indian cast members. This is supposed to be Geneva.
Which has been coming in from observatories the world over, confirming its existence.
So I'm just going to check the full cast.
And here, straight from Mount Palomar Observatory, is the first picture of our new neighbor in space.
So apparently it was explained that after this episode, it was explained that Mondas was supposed to be an asteroid that burns up. That's how they explained it to the public.
But there is absolutely no cause for alarm. It won't come near enough.
Oh yeah. Forgot, yeah. William Hartnell's not the only person that plays the Doctor in this episode. Gordon Craig also doubles for him.
We must get in touch. May I have your attention, everybody? It's very important, so please listen carefully. Final orbit commencing from base reference 1 is 4 minutes 10 seconds from now. So we've got a very difficult job on our hands, and I want everybody to be on their toes all the time. Capsule power falls too low, I think it will be empty from here. And I want the entire thing behind us. Base reference 1 commencing.
Now I'm trying to think. The guy who was behind the desk there, wasn't he one of the announcers in? I want to say one of the airplane movies. I'm pretty sure he was like the news anchor or something in one of the airplane movies. Mondas, very eccentric, all with big engines. I mean, as far as I'm aware, they piloted the planet. I love how massive they are. I believe everybody who had to play a Cyberman had to be at least 6'7" or 6'6". And that's the big difference between Mondas and Cybermen and the modern ones.
I do not understand you there, because I you do not care about that.
And that's one thing I love about these Cybermen.
That is where we come from. It is called Mondas. Isn't that one of the ancient names for that? Yes. Years ago, the planets were twins. We took them away from you on a journey to the edge of space. Now we have returned. Right. But who or what are you? We are called cybermen. Yes, cybermen.
And that, I gotta be honest, one thing I love about this is the fact that they try to rationalise with them, and the Cybermen have a good answer. The voice was copied from a device for disabled people. Yeah. Look, you can just see his eye.
You call them emotions, do you not?
And that's what makes it so difficult to argue with them. They take the emotion out of it, it's just about the logic. Yeah, mouth opens, words pour out, mouth shuts. Yeah! But yeah, you imagine if you took that again. What I think what World Enough Time done a great job of was explaining that that's like a medical sort of what they're wearing is like a medical suit. That's like a medical sock. I mean, you imagine what monstrosity is underneath there. I'd kill to see that. Not really, but I mean, you take money there. Yeah, pain, 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 pain. It would look amazing. And that's again, if I was going to bring back the Cybermen now, that's what I would do. I would bring back the Mariner Cybermen. They've done the Mondasian, and they've done the alternate world one. Let's do the Mariners ones, and let's give them a reason for being messed up. Yeah, you may as well. Look how massive that thing is. Which one? The Mariners. So apparently the Cybermen. So Marinus from Keys and Marinus, the planet is later develops into the Cybermen, which I've got a theory is the planet that they went to in the Ghost Monument. I believe it's the same planet. I've got a feeling that it is the same planet. It makes sense that it would be. And it's the only way that they can justify that planet existing that way. World Shapers, the Sixth Doctor, and Jamie. Yeah, I think so.
I told you it is impossible for them to get back now. The pull-up on that is too strong. Listen, right. With a foregone conclusion, you are ready to subscribe. However, if you wish to contact us, I have no objection. And the college may use their equipment. Any attempt to receive, however, kill them at once. Remove the soldier. I will carry on.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant. Can you imagine watching this back in the 60s? Like just seeing these things just moving around, massive things that look like people are just liquids pumping in and out of tubes would be good. Yeah, that would be stunning. But I'd like to see an endoskeleton version of this. Nobody else would, because that'd be messy. Nice little effect. Demonstrates the point thoroughly. And again, look, he's not even up to his shoulder. Whereas the modern Cybermen are all like, they all look like Iron Man, and I don't like that look anyway. It was first they looked like RoboCop, then they looked like Iron Man. It's crap. It's not terrifying at all. Making them look like tanks, that doesn't help make them look frightening at all. Sorry again. So yeah. This is because of the square part surgery and heart transplant fears. Yeah. I mean, there was always that sort of that thing of putting pacemakers in people and how much do you modify somebody before they stop being them. But I think what I don't like with modern Cybermen is that modern Cybermen are too much like the Borg. And these Cybermen are not like that. These Cybermen don't give a shit about upgrading you. They don't care about that at all. They want the energy from the planet so they can survive. That's all they care about. Would you have a Google chip put in? No. No, I wouldn't. I first of all, you'd have to upgrade, which means that you have to go back in at some point for more surgery. And then it's just the idea of something breaking down. And I'm pretty shit with technology anyway. Like, you'd have to pay for contracts and you'd be like, with my phone, I don't Google on my phone at all. I use my computer. So I'm pretty much just sort of distant with technology. Not that I don't like it. It's just the fact that I prefer to have dedicated things for. I mean, like there's my camera over there. It's if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Get the proper thing for that job. Like. Nice looking screen for the radar screen. Good size monitor, good size viewer. Does the job, tells the story. Who's your cut straight away? How good is that? How good is it to kill the music dead when those screens go blank? But brilliant, sir. Brilliant. Built-in heads-up display. I love tech. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'd rather have just like a pair of glasses like that would do that, and you just take them off. I mean, as much as I hate the Sonic glasses, I am advocating for that because they're not Sonic. No, because the other thing is with having glasses like this is that you can put a vibrating thing on the patch there, so that it can actually vibrate through the through the skull bone into your ear. Ultrasonics. Those lights going on his chest.
And how are you going to stop this pain on this? We cannot. It is beyond our power. How are we going to survive? By coming with our age. You? Yes. We are going to take you all back to combat. Your age. Hey, you're impossible. You cannot.
Bet that cost him way to tell. Yeah, but again, they were big people and big guys. And again, the guy who played the cyber leader. Oh hell! I've just had a crap up on me again. Got a feeling it's going to do this a few times. Where were we? Ah, there we are. No, 15 minutes dead on. Beast of a projector. Not sure what the film is they're showing.
I saw that film 20 years ago. Hey, come in, mate, you want it? Hey, come in.
This is what I love with Ben. He's not afraid to just get stuck in.
I'm sorry, mate, I'm giving you orders there. Get back. I'm telling you, get back! No alternative. There's no scientific certainty that this is
Love it. Love it.
they got a chance in here.
He didn't want to do it, but he's not going to take crap. And he was left with no option. Good character development.
Person, now, 5, 8, here.
That's the one bit of Twice Upon a Time I wish that Bradley had copied a little bit better. The cyber leader's name is Regis Crown, mentioned in episode 4. Yeah, I believe he's the same cyber leader from this, as in Tomb of the Cybermen, and I think I want to say Earthshock. I believe he's all the same person. I love the fact that the conversation is going on off screen, and we're seeing this instead.
All right, get me to neighbor, quick. Come on, let's have some action.
I think it was just Tomb on Attack of the Cybermen. Maybe. Normally, I mean, they found it difficult to find big actors, man. So when they latched onto one, usually they get recast over and over. Not this one, yeah, probably not. Yeah, it's entirely possible. But it's a very diverse cast.
bases around the world must be put on immediate alert. To deal with another attack with your limited resources.
Yeah, that's the game. Pretty sure is easy in airplane. Yeah, airplane or airplane 2. I think, let me just have a...
Company to take over the package?
I'm trying to find the name. What's the guy's name?
And my sons who realize that.
Yeah, this is him going over the edge. Oh, God, yeah, sorry. Michael Griffith or something like that. Maybe I'm not seeing his name on IMDb, unfortunately. Unless he's not listed in this episode, maybe he's listed in a later episode. Instead of having everybody listed for the same story, they... I'd have thought he would be here.
Section 2 to the flight exit and back. Section 3, the fuel tanks.
So they've got other ICS officers listed.
Get them up there and do it quick.
Geneva Secretary.
Program all Cobra anti-missiles for launch imminent. Stand in readiness and await instructions. Yeah, we put him on the fridge.
Now, I haven't actually looked at the director of this. So Blake's sound director. Lots of Emmerdale. Christ, there's a lot of series.
My son up on that capsule. So what happens to the rest?
Sun or capsule? What are you on about?
General Capsule. Some signal on the early morning, unidentified. Identify it, man. Yes, sir. Hundreds of them, sir. Hundreds of what?
Dots.
Information.
There we go. There's that episode done. I'll kill that before it craps up. Yeah, it's nice to see the sort of the episode again. It's typical writing style whereby things get worse, then they get worse, then you're at rock bottom, and then they pick up towards the end. You're typical of these 4 episode story arcs, but it does it so well that it's just Glenn Back was the newsreader. Okay. I need to start loading episode 3. This is likely to cock up halfway through. There we go. Fabulous looking titles, just fabulous. I'm glad that they did sort of something very similar to that for the Jodie Whittaker title sequence. I think that they did a good job of just sort of mimicking it.
means only one thing, more cybermen. License? See if we can get hold of Zeus 5. I must be fine up. Hey, he plays up and we're treated federal. Yes, what is it? It's the doctor he passed out in Bill. I'm gonna lose my face, not worrying about you. Get him down to one of the captains and look after you. Give him a hand. Head down. Coming through now, sir. No Captain Zeus 5. No Captain Zeus 5. How do you read me? Zeus 5.
Yeah, so the doctor's now just passed out there. And I had never realised, and this is what I hadn't realised for a long time. Now, obviously, he's, in reality, William Hartnell's not feeling very well, which is why he ends up getting regenerated. But what I didn't realise, and I hadn't pieced together, was the reason why the doctor actually collapses is because his life energy is being drained in the same way the energy from the Earth is being drained by Mondas. I never put that. I always just thought it was a quirk. I just thought it was a quirk of the story writing. It was like, no, they've actually decided that's why he collapses. No, it wasn't that they had to late right into the script. I don't think it's very well explained, but it makes sense.
Anything up there? No, I'm not the report so far.
The idea of doing a live playback onto a monitor in the studio, it is just crazy. Is there a story or retcon? As far as I know, it was they wrote it in as the, because obviously it was a late write-in part for episode 3 because Hartnell was ill. So I think that it was intended to be that way because he was going to regenerate, but they hadn't, obviously, even in this, they hadn't decided to call it regeneration yet. It's just like a renewal. But they left that bit out that he's feeling weary because his the planet's draining his life energy along with the Earth's energy.
And just how do you?
Well, you just said it. How can you not be in your vocabulary? You just said the word.
You can't do that. I will. But the radiation affects on Earth. We'll have to take. But to use this one, let me get a positive. Geneva. I'll get authority, fellow, right now. Get me Geneva. What is it, Saber? What is it? Say weapon. For 2 or 3 strategic positions around the globe, we have one of them, and the means of delivery to one. Secretary? Yes, General. The expected attack, sir. They've been sighted in force. Yes, I know. We've just got the report. They are coming in from all over the world.
So, what was his name was? Secretary what?
Interesting rapid. All gone as best you can. Yes, sir. Request permission, sir, to take offensive action against this front. What action? Z-bomb, sir. Mounted in the forehead of the
Z-bomb. It's the bomb.
We would have to consult our top scientists. There isn't time for consultation. This is an emergency. We must know exactly what we are doing. But there isn't time. We'll have to take a chance. No, General. Take no precipitate action. It is quite out of the question. Yes, sir. You do give me authority to take any action necessary against the cybermen. Thank you.
A little smirk on his face there.
You've given me authority to take any steps necessary to stop the cybermen. Yeah, but I bet that didn't include using the Z-bomb. That is my order. Look, tell me you can't use this bomb, guys. We've all got with it.
Yeah. Way over the edge.
You, take him out of here. and lock him up with a dope. As they are about to affect this, yes, I am sure. In another way. Wait. Look, but the doctor said it's not only Earth that's in danger, but Mondas itself is in far greater danger. Otherwise, why have they bothered coming here? Just how did he figure that out? It's draining energy from the Earth, isn't it? He said eventually it would absorb too much energy and burn itself out, or shrivel up to nothing. But the dude is right. Wait. Oh, wait until those...
I like Beatty's character here. It's such a goofy character, and the delivery is so. It could be done so hammy, but he's walking a fine line of having it be. He's trying to save his son, and he's convinced himself that he needs to attack Mondas. He's become blind to everything else. It's a writing trope that gets overplayed, but because he is been put into an isolated situation, and because he's blind to his own insanity here, that just destroying Mondas would actually cause a real problem for Earth. He can't see that far ahead. He can only see that one step in front of him instead of, well, if we do this, it's going to lead to this, this, and this. He can't see that. He can literally, and he couldn't make him a bit of a two-dimensional character, but I think he delivers it with good conviction. I think everybody does a good job here. Yeah, I don't believe there's Hartnell there. But again, it goes to show how they dealt with this by having the companions be a lot more proactive. The Doctor was an old man, so the companions had to be more proactive. So, and that's a big difference in how the storytelling was done back then versus how it's done now. I'm not saying that the Doctor isn't effective. It's just the fact that the companions try to take a bit more on. And again, it's a good-looking set, good-looking design. Simple, but sometimes some of the best sets are. Supposed to fill. Oh, sorry. Harry Sullivan was supposed to fill the role if they'd cast an older Doctor like Ben. Again, we're dealing with a time whereby radiation was kind of not that. Radiation made the Hulk and Spider-Man. They were in plastic visors there and netting. I think there's a lot of people sort of cast a type here because the guy they've got there as their sort of lead scientist is very, very school science teacher looking. Even the way he's dressed. Jesus. Yeah, you should apologize for that one. I mean, I know she's technically haven't got a lot to do. That's what scientists look like, not young and trendy like Brian Cox. Yeah. Oh, whoever said Brian Cox was young and trendy? He used to be. He's gone all sort of grey now. Technically, by comparison to Brian Cox, he is young and trendy. I like the fact that they've done this whole sort of retaliation bit to buy him a bit of a reprieve. There's a bit of a sink in this episode whereby you know the doctor's out of action and the story sort of slows down that a little bit. But I think there's enough story here with what's happening on the base to keep you gripped.
Hold them off. See that with the normal one. Yes. Arms in position, so I'm going to check it now. Right. And before the band come in.
He's a little bit too happy with that. Just open the door. The Z-bomb way more powerful and comes out of nowhere. Yeah, it does. It's kind of like sort of the attempt to sort of the Tsar bomb, the large nuclear device. I guess they've done sort of similar things like that with like the Osterhagen key as well. So. But yeah, in terms of the episode of them just sort of like throwing it in. Did I drink all my coffee? No, I didn't. It's cold now. I'm going to make another coffee between naps. You gotta wonder, somebody somewhere knows where that model is, or if it's been scrapped. Fire! Army of them. They could have put a little bit of a light on there, just a light. They wouldn't have needed much. Just something to have flared up the image. Still impressive though. Yeah, the same spaceship shot. Yeah. Oh, I mean, as far as I'm aware, if I'm right about this, I think they've moved from Lime Grove, or they're in Ealing Studios. I believe that's the same stage that gets used in the next episode, which is Power of the Daleks, which I believe the planetary set is the same one. It's just redressed. Which I never know unless that episode shows up because it's currently animated. And the number of costumes, it's thoroughly impressive. Again, it's one of those things whereby literally when we talk about how hokey Doctor Who can be, we're talking more about the JNT era as opposed to the 60s and 70s. Because they clearly had invested in this. The limitations of the show are pretty much the limitations of the time. I wish they'd done something about the sound on that. You can't hear the sort of clunking. It doesn't sound like concrete. It's the big giveaway. But again, good size set, and these are multi-story sets as well, which is something that you don't normally get in a 60s Doctor Who, and you definitely don't get it in an 80s Doctor Who. Definitely not. They film it in TC6 or TC3, and you don't get multi-story sets in that. No, it's too difficult to make a multi-story set. You'd have to put cameras on cranes, camera equipment's too heavy to carry upstairs, just do it all on one level. It was one of the banes of Doctor Who storytelling. And that's what I appreciate with this, is the fact that they are able to do multi-story. I mean, one of the best ones. What's the Peter Davison one with the underwater base? Oh God! Because everything's on gantries. That's quite a good set. Warriors of the Deep, yes. Yep. Gonna leave a mark.
Yo, check that rock and see if he's done it. He's made it. I'm sure. You're coming with me, I need. Talk about this after that rock is gone.
Little bit of a change of it. The makeup on him as well. Look, they made him. They've sprayed him so that he looks like he's sweating. But yeah, total change of mind there. Check the panel. Come with me. Check the panel.
Okay.
His brain's firing him in multiple directions all at the same time.
Have you seen any sign of those spacecraft yet?
Oh, I haven't seen a thing there. Just me up here at the moment. All of my lonesome.
I watch it. They move mighty fast.
Well, when are you going to bring me down?
Well, we can't do it just yet. You'll have to hold on. You have to deal with Mondas first.
Hey, wait a minute. The captain's getting a little slow on the controls.
What about your power?
All right,
Again, to do in-camera monitor transmission in studio as well. I'm guessing this was a live feed back and forth so the actors could interact. Yeah, I mean, I would simultaneously. I would assume that they sat in a booth off camera with the camera on them to live feed around to that monitor. We can see there's multiple split feed, so it's on more than one monitor. It's not these days. They wouldn't even do it live. These days, that would be a green screen effect, and they would just replace the screens. Well, again, anytime you can do something in camera, it's gonna look better.
Who's that? What happened?
I would have loved to have seen this in colour.
Oh, my head is splitting. I'll think. -140 and counting. Rear silo. Booster gyros on.
But I think I kind of think the black and white works for it though.
Stop the counter. I don't know. What's the matter with those brain computers? It'll be a minor fault, General. Holding a T-minus.
Reacting to film insert dialogue tricky, I would think. Ah, well, look, so you would edit it so that you don't need to have to react to it. You just have somebody feed the lines. You give all your lines, and then the editor just goes, well, we'll use that bit there.
Raise the missile.
I'm impressed by the amount of J cutting this episode does, whereby there's things going on that we can hear, and is part of a conversation that we were in, but not actually focusing on.
1-5. Everyone out of silo area.
So this is an important piece of dialogue here. So he's given that. Quite a nice model shot. That was also hand operated. But no, he's talking, but the focus is on Richard Beatty there. Now it's back to him. No, because he's cutting back to what's important. We're having conversations happen in this room. This is really, really well directed. And again, the focus here is on the reaction as opposed to the action. Brilliant overlay. And that's the end of that chapter. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how that was filmed for reactionary as opposed to the action. Instead of staying on the person talking and staying on the action, it's actually looking at what the other characters are doing. Very, very well put together. Very well put together. Coffee, hang on. Okay, I shall wait 2 seconds. Yeah, it's 10th Planet, episode 4, I believe, is the animated one, isn't it? It has to be someone left. But yeah, very well directed. Very well directed. And they're trying some bold stuff as well. Again, I don't know how high that gantry was that the stuntman went over, but you know, it's a decent bump for an episode. Yeah, lots to like. And again, I think I would like to see what a color version of this would look like, but I do think the black and white works for it because it's pretty black and white anyway. It's a base in Antarctica. It's going to be a military base on the inside, so it's going to be in neutral colors, neutral color uniforms. The sidemen are silver, so I think we're getting a pretty. I think the black and white makes it sort of it removes feeling a little bit anyway, which plays towards the sideman's strengths. So that for me at least makes me think that seeing it in color might actually detract from it. That it might actually be a bit worse to see it in color. But I mean, I'd love to give it a look anyway, just out of curiosity. But I think that my feeling of it being in the grayscale as opposed to in color, I think does work for a Sideman story. Sorry, forgot about the other people who might be watching. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. So here we go, episode 4. Yay! I genuinely, I would love to see a 3D version of this. In terms of all these effects, and have them as they propel towards camera, like you can have do a depth of field, so that they come out of focus and into focus to make it look really, deep. good animation on this.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They haven't really captured BT's quiff. There it is.
Go get him up there. Get him up. Tony!
Are you all right?
Stop burning this oil, sir. You cannot find it up.
Oh, you're watching the reconstruction and not the animated. I see. I should have pointed that out.
Oh, I'm sure I did. So that's like it goes.
I'm running my DVD through my PC, so it's actually that's what's causing it to crap up. Is because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows open around the player. And my internet is having a punishing from the.
I'll give you one more chance or you're going to get killed with it. I can't fire this, and neither can you. How long will it take you to refuel? Long enough.
Completely wrong the bend.
Get down. Get over there.
Getting a signal, sir, from Lieutenant Custer, sir.
Something bad in the control next
Not sure if you've seen the animated version. It's pretty well done. It's like with all the other ones that they've done. Some of the sort of flash animation style. But it's very the lip articulation and the likeness is very good.
Come on, man. Come on, guys. Anything will be landing again.
Let me just scroll quickly through.
They must have landed.
You killed my son.
But sorry, thank you.
Lost it. Completely lost it. Oh, that's a nice touch. I never noticed that before. So when the cybermen shot him, this is it colored? No, it's not. It's black and white, which again it doesn't make sense, but I mean it's okay. But when the cybermen shoot people now, they've actually put like this sort of smoke effect around them, so that it's like they've been cooked, microwaved.
Say they've got electronic man off for what? Hey, for that. We do not believe you. We have seen a rocket missile later.
That is so. We prevented it being fired at you. We got you. Therefore,
And he was told of these geezers.
Same effect in Tomb, I think. Yeah, but they had the cyber gun, and it was a little bit more. Didn't they do them a negative replacement? Did they do a negative effect, or was it just the fact that the camera was sensitive to bright light? It's been quite a while since I watched Tomb of the Cyberman.
what have you decided?
We can talk about that missile. Hey, that was
Just smoke. I remember. I'm remembering the range scene from Tomb of the Cybermen. I remember that being quite a good effect, actually.
Accept your term. The warhead will be removed from the rocket.
It must be below ground. As the radiation room is
Really, I'm impressed. I've forgotten how well animated this is. Even everything like the sheen that they've animated onto the front of the Cybermen's chest pieces and the lamp.
But if you want a hostage, what about me? You are needed.
Again, I love Ben. Good, great companion. He's a good one for stepping up. Proactive as hell. Polly's a little bit more of just sort of a I got a feeling they just really didn't know what to do with Polly for this episode. She's a bit more of a sort of just a caretaker. So yeah, all these sets were recreated for Twice Upon a Time. It's incredible how much they recreated and just didn't use. Shocking, in fact. He's gone off the cliff.
Mass landings of cybermen in many parts of the world. I am now controller of the operating arms and you guys.
One hell of a thing. Who are you? I do find it a little bit weird with the change in the tone between the cyber leader.
What is your second objective? Quite obvious, isn't it? You're the extraction of the earth? Then, Barclay, do not help them! They're going to do what must come to destroy the earth! No, makes sense now.
Such a real good job. I mean, like the way they've done this, in terms of the fact that they've animated this to fit with the sets that they already had, which is very, very different to the way they done the Macro Terror, because they didn't have the sets for the Macro Terror. They had to animate everything. So I think they've done this the right way in that they've taken what they've had and copied it to fit the rest of the other episodes that were there. Whereas what I like with Macro Terror is the fact that they didn't have anything and they pretty much just animated like a cartoon. So they went balls to the wall for that. And but I think they done the right job here. So yeah. The conversation between Crown and the Gym. Yeah. Yeah, the change in the tone and the quality of the voice.
Radioactivity. Take this one inside and see what it does to it. Look, all the way down the floor, play dead. This is a ridiculous game. Oh, maybe, but it's worth giving it a try. Come on, mate.
This is going to be, he's going to open the door now, and it's going to be the worst dying noise. I mean, it sounds like a drunk Zippy. Like Zippy with a hangover. Yeah, just to differentiate between. Yeah. I get why they did it. It's just I found it a little bit. I find it a little bit odd.
mission of our two planets means that one has to be eliminated for the safety of
The rad suits look like BK, they probably were.
to be destroyed.
They probably weren't even that.
We cannot
In
allow
fact,
that
they were probably just something from like a food factory.
Yeah, for how long? If we had any chance. The answer is no. We'll just sit tight
It's
here
just
until
pretty much a cagoule with a Mac with a hood.
You will regret this.
Now, we give you 3 minutes to stop using the warhead. If you fail, you will never see your friends again. What do you do now? Because we must do as they say, or you could be a flop. Oh, you stick like that and sit tight.
I mean, I genuinely like this story based on the fact that the Cybermen are literally just trying to survive. That they don't give a shit about upgrading. They're not here to destroy. I mean, they want to save Mondas, so Earth is going to be sacrificed. They've made the choice. They've made a logical choice to save their planet. That's all they're trying to do, and it makes for a much more interesting villain than we're going to just conquer. So yeah, the 70s cagoules that folded up into a tiny bag that only your mum could. I used to have one. I used to have a blue one. you should have like a rainbow strap. 2 little clips at either end. Had to have one. Had to have one, especially in Wales. Yeah, you rolled it up, inside out, done the zip up, strap over, right, off we go. You go to play, it's pissing now. Put your mark on. I don't like how loose they are with radiation here. I remember Chernobyl. Ah, bloody hell. Where's that crash by? Typical. It wouldn't be Doctor Who Sunday without technical difficulties.
The answer is no. We'll just sit tight here until Monday breaks up. Now then, you better release the Doctor and Polly and send them down here. We're going to need our help when Monday is gone.
Who's that? Perceived by that are quite disturbing. What? What have I missed here? I don't know if you've seen any clips in this retcon of Polly being processed. They're quite disturbing. Yeah. I've already done that. So 30 minutes. It seems to have a problem with the 15-minute mark all the time. I'm at 14 minutes dead on. Yeah, he's moving the rods. 14, 46, 47, 48. Again, he's just walking around with a uranium rod. That Geiger count is going mental. The animation in here is beautiful. Genuinely is. I know it's only the one episode that they worked on, but it's impressive. It's not only the fact that it's animated well. You've got these slight camera moves, and it matches pretty much what they did with with what the director did with the other episodes. Kaboom!
Longer. What the hell have I got to? Cybermen are behind the door. Let the gas do its work.
Yes, they've just been attacked by uranium rods. I mean, that's gonna kill anything. Interesting note though that they do fault the radiation, so it messes with the electronics, I suppose. And yet it wasn't something that was brought up in the Doctor Falls, given that they're the same Cyberman.
You try and tackle the big stuff. Don't stand a chance. We don't know how many Cybermen there are left. Well, here's one of the things they use to contact each other. How that works? No one can do anything. Make a signal. Draw them here. That way. But if that spaceship takes off, we're never going to see them again. They bring them all.
Gold, gravity, radiation, invulnerable. Well, I mean, these ones aren't susceptible to gold. I don't think.
Let's all get down the other side of the room. Opposite the door. Use the gun. What now? The batter's running out of explosives. He can't face them in the dark.
I mean, the ones that I'm pretty sure the ones that are invulnerable are vulnerable to gold. Aren't they the Planet 14 Cybermen?
Don't believe it.
I would be interested to see what that original effect looked like.
It's melting.
This is actually just showing the planet just sort of very sort of slow, gradual breakup. And this bit with the Cybermen is actually very well done. And that trope gets used in Avengers. This is pretty much the end to Avengers. Tesla's just showed a monitor image. Yeah, this was like it showed the planet and it just sort of started breaking up into chunks. They did a close up of the planet surface showing a bubble. And then it showed like cool continents and just sort of just dislodging and the whole thing just breaking up like a planet breaking up.
All over the world. Let me have a full report as soon as you can.
Will do. Hear that? You want the full report?
No, but what's going to be interesting is the fact that they describe it as the planet in the audio description as the planet's melting. I'd be curious. They probably just had a wax planet and just heated it up.
What's the matter with the doctor? Hey, come on, doctor, wakey, it's all over now.
It's all over. That's what you said.
Here it comes. Heading straight into the first regeneration.
Oh, I'm feeling all over.
Talking about.
Immediately.
Big up go back and say goodbye or anything?
No, I must go at once.
This is when you catch your death of cold.
Ah, good. Thank you.
Oh. And we all know where he's walking off to.
He's lost his sense of humour.
709 episodes later.
Good looking guys, aren't they?
I'm assuming it's just landed. This must have been mental at the time, changing main character. Oh, absolutely. This must have been. I would have loved to have experienced it for the first time. I mean, I kind of did when when the Doctor changed for them the first time I saw the Doctor change. But I mean, the idea of there being other Doctors was already implanted with my knowledge of the show at the time, anyway. But this whole bit. Television history right there. And my favourite Doctor, Patrick Troughton. I think it's a great story. And I still like the little sort of in the music. That's very cool. And then Adventure in Space and Time. What did I miss? I'm missing it. Have you seen it? Yes, I have. Yes, that's one of the ones that we're going to be covering at another point. But we probably won't do that on the Sunday. We'll probably do that like maybe on a Monday or something like that. Just when people are available. Not just not interrupt the Doctor Who vibe. That's all. But yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean. The idea that you're gonna deal with the actor leaving by replacing. I mean, other actors have played roles before anyway. Well, one of the ones I'd have to draw to there is probably sort of like Tarzan, where somebody like Gordon Scott had to take over from previous people that have played Tarzan. So it's not like it hasn't happened but they were pretty much different films, different series. But this is the same person. Like this is the notion of this is that this guy is completely different, but he's the same person. But this plays up to the difference, not like James Bond. Yeah, true. Yeah, it very, very much says, no, this is a thing. I mean, you get the whole, I hate the James Bond theory drives hell into me. It pisses me off as well, because he's supposed to be the same guy. It's just, it takes a long time to make a James Bond film. That's why you've got 25 James Bond films in 50 plus years. Because it takes a bloody long time to make a James Bond film. So why would you I mean, I'm not saying that Connery couldn't have still been playing it, but it would have been a very different sort of James Bond now, wouldn't it? He would be James Bond retired. It would be very much what Stallone is doing with Rambo. And again, they're up to what, the sixth now, I think, fifth, sixth, Rambo 4, yeah, fifth, coming out now. So yeah, the idea that you're going to play up to the fact that you change actors for a younger actor, this person's going to play the part, but play completely differently to how the previous person had played it. Very unique. I mean, it must have literally blown people's minds, because as well, the other thing to remember here is that these days, and I say these days, they've done it quite a bit. Ever since the Doctor has taken over, they've always previously announced throughout Doctor Who history that this person is now the Doctor. Here's the new Doctor, and this is the person that's going to be taking over from the Doctor's part. They announced it when Peter Davison was taken over from Tom Baker. So when Colin Baker was taken over from Peter Davison. When Sylvester McCoy was taken over. So it's not like it's an unheard of thing. It's just these days with the internet, it's difficult to keep something like that under wraps. Whereas this, if you didn't have the TV Times or whatever, you were not gonna know. And again, this was something that just didn't happen with a lead character. So to see that must have been absolutely breathtaking. Plus the other series, mythology, this spawned Time Lords, 13 versions, etc. So yeah, I mean, this still gets much further in though, because I don't believe, we don't see the Time Lords until War Games, which is the end of Troughton's run, and I think the notion of how many limitations there are on a Time Lord's regeneration is actually probably Two Hearts is introduced in Pertwee's era. But I think the Time Lord's regeneration cycle, how many lives? I think that's a Tom Baker thing. I could be wrong about that. Because up until particularly through Troughton's era, we don't really have any idea of how many times you can regenerate. But I mean, there was lots of stuff that's been sewn in from the very first episode. Like there's stuff that they took out of the first episode when they redone it. As to what sort of era they're supposed to be from, and by comparison to human evolution. Susan says something like, "Oh, we're from the 49th century by human comparison," but they obviously Gallifreyan. So there's lots of this sort of they build in the mythology, but there was plenty of things already put in place that was just never used. Without regeneration, though, none of that Celestial Toymaker was originally going to change the Doctor to write out Bill. I was right. I misread that then. So the Celestial Toymaker was going to regenerate as the way to write out William Hartnell. I mean, that would have been a perfectly viable way of doing it. So that because William Hartnell's really not present in that episode. It's his voice, but he's not really in the episode. How do I do the next one? What? Oh, how do you get from can't have Toymaker every time? Yeah. So it's how do they decide to keep the actors come in? I mean, yeah. I mean, there's always different ways of doing it, I suppose. But it was the same. Like they got to the end of the Time Lord's life cycle, and then they pulled out this plot whereby the Time Lords just give him more regenerations, which is something that they happen to have in the bank anyway from previous episodes of Doctor Who anyway. You know, the Time Lords could just bestow a new Time Lord cycle because they did it for the Master. So it's not like it just popped out of nowhere. I mean, it was they're talking, and again, the concept of immortality gets bandied about even back when they done, what was it, the Five Doctors with Rassilon, and the whole whoever wears the crown gets immortality. I know it's a bit, you know, they're immortalized in stone in that episode, but this was a bit of a trap. But I mean, even back then, they're dealing with how these characters. I mean, Barossa. I think Barossa regenerated like 4 times. I think every time we saw Barossa, he was played by a different actor. So this whole concept is allowed for not just more intrigue into Time Lord society, but I think it's allowed for the separation of how to make this kind of more alien as well. Because I think a lot of people still look at the Doctor as being a very much a British person, as opposed to being an alien from another planet. And I think Regenerated helps that. As much as the Doctor still having more powers than a typical human anyway. They offer the Master a new life cycle to rescue the Doctor. Yeah. But I mean, they also like didn't they they brought him back for the Time War as well. So yeah. And again, yeah, you're quite right. Yeah, in the Five Doctors, they do. Yeah, they say to Andy Ainley, we'll offer you a new life cycle, because obviously in that body is the Keeper of Traken's body, which he stole because his life cycle was coming to an end. Well, it's amazing when you think about it. When you think about how thoroughly weaved in this is, and how much, all from the fact that this guy was too ill to continue, and it's created, you know, out of necessity, it's created this whole society, pretty much. You know, and the fact that there are separations between Time Lords and Gallifreyans, the fact that there's this class division in the society, I do think that maybe I would have said that what I don't like with the Time Lords is that I wish that they were a bit more godly. I think that they've become a little too contemporary, and I think that I prefer them. Like when they show up in war games, they're very much high-powered beings, you know. Whereas these days they kind of they wear a lot of bravado, and they talk a lot of bluster, but there's again, you know, I think Anthony Head in School Reunion describes them as dusty bookkeepers, you know, like librarians. Arc ruined the Time Lords. Which one? Arc of Infinity? Part of the hairdressing salons. It's just, I mean, they had this cool idea. Again, like, as much as I don't like the costume, when we were watching Genesis of the Daleks and the Time Lord showed up, and he was a bit like Bela Lugosi looking with a balaclava. But even then, the costume was a bit naff. It was still, oh, we've transported you to Skaro, and oh, we'd like you to do this for us, and then all of a sudden they just disappeared into the mist. It's so yeah, Tom was just sitting chatting when ex-president about to be executed. Yes, Arc of Infinity. Yeah, it's again they've taken the Time Lords and thought we've recognised that it's kind of like looking at the House of Lords. I think that's what it is really. Is it just a sort of these people decide are the lawmakers and the overseers. These people can stop things from happening. So they've looked at sort of like the House of Commons and gone, no, let's look at the House of Lords instead. And I think that's the mistake. That these people should be a little bit further up the food chain. And even by comparison to Gallifreyans, I would say that mostly these Time Lords are pretty watered down. These are Gallifreyans calling themselves Time Lords. I think if proper Time Lords were to show up, they'd be in trouble. Genetic aliens, not highest race in the universe. Yeah, if I was going to do Gallifreyans, they would be a bit different. I think maybe they could now, but you've got to think a little bit more like I've said before that it should be that not all Gallifreyans are Time Lords, but it should also be that not all Time Lords are Gallifreyan. So you could have Time Lords. I mean, they even teased the concept before by having, Ace was supposed to be a Time Lord in training. Didn't Leela go to Gallifrey to become a Time Lord? I'm pretty sure that was a thing in the Fourth Doctor story. That's pretty sure what was happening there. So there's nothing to say that all Time Lords have to be Gallifreyan. So I think that there's a possibility of doing a story whereby Time Lords are just, much more different than you think. But we've just haven't been. I think that what we've seen, in particular with New Who, which again, New Who is something that I think has done a lot of harm to elements of the show. I know there's cool shit that it's done, but I think that if they were being honest, there's stuff that you can undo now, and the Time Lords will be one of them. And by means of the Time War, they've had this Time War. Let's, that's sealed and done. Let's make them a little bit more powerful. Let's give them a little bit more, more juice in the tank, and let's do something else for them. Take the time. They don't have to just show this one city, because as much as great as it is to see the Citadel on Arcadia, it's still a little bit to see the plains of Gallifrey and the surrounding city. It's still a bit normal, and I would think of things whereby, my preference would be to have floating cities above Gallifrey. Clouds for the cities, and to make it a little bit more ethereal, make it so that your teleportation is an easy way to get around, but not teleportation as we would know it, but teleportation as these doorways that are just portals, and you just walk straight through and you end up somewhere else. You pick a portal, dial it up, and like a Stargate, and just boom. The concepts that they use to portray this high society on Gallifrey is really underserved. Yes, that was the plan for Ace. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened with Leela as well. I'm pretty sure, because I know she didn't have a good ending, and I know Leela didn't have a good ending to the character, but she apparently did become a character called Emily, or reincarnated as a character called Emily. But I'm pretty sure, with Ace, it was going to be It's going to be that she was going to be a Time Lord in training, and if you can't train other people to be a Time Lord, then I would like to see other alien species as well, not just have a Silurian. There we go. That would be great. A Silurian Time Lord. That'd be interesting. And to see, like, because I'm trying to think, I'm trying to. I don't want to use this as a reference because it's a bad reference, right? But I'm thinking of Time Lords in the similar sort of way that you think of the Council in Green Lantern. That these beings that are just sort of exist on another level, that are just a little bit further up the chain, and to see a Gallifrey done in a way that we haven't seen it done before would please me no end. And it's the same way where this is what pissed me off when I saw Man of Steel, when I saw Krypton in Man of Steel, because it was just like, oh, this is just another generic alien planet, and that's kind of what they've done with Gallifrey. There's nothing really special about Gallifrey other than the fact that it's an orange desert. I would like to see something. I would like to see something a bit more special with it. The idea that why is it just the TARDISes that are bigger on the inside? Why isn't a Gallifreyan city just like one box? And inside this box is an entire city. How can you stretch that notion to other things? Have an apartment block that is everybody's apartment block is an 8-bedroom mansion. It's an apartment block this literally the size of a phone box. There's lots of stuff that they can do. Play with technology, and play with. We've had other things like Sharda, whereby the books, Time Lord books, affect the universe. If you've seen Sharda, you know exactly what I'm on about. Where you flick through the pages of the book and you can literally see time going backwards and forwards. They need to start looking at Time Lords in the same way that you would look at magic and portray it that way. It needs to be at that level. It needs to be much higher up, so that it appears to be magic, but in fact it is just Time Lord science. The fact that they, I'm thinking way back, sort of when Capaldi and when Clara was saved. Oh shit! I hate that episode. Heaven Sent. Was it or Hellbent? One or the other. I don't know. The fact that they used the time scoop for that, but they've done a better job of showing the time scoop sort of in the Fifth Doctor. Even though it looked like unsophisticated technology, it was pretty much all. This is the time scoop. It's this table, and it's just that. And we've got these crystals that we put on there, and that's how this thing works. And again, I even like it when they show it in Troughton's era. Is it Troughton? I think it is. Whereby it's like a piece of glass, and they've just got these magnets that they just stick on. And they design a circuit on the thing, and that controls time somehow. So yeah, there's lots that they could do, and it's all come from this one concept of this guy just needed to just thought, is the YouTube stream still live? I hope so. Yes, it is. Yes. So yeah, that's something that I would really like to see out of the Time Lords. Back to talking about the 10th planet though. As an episode in general, I like the fact that it's played very much in isolation, which is always a really great idea for a story, is to play in isolation. I like the fact that they get separated from the TARDIS, because you should always separate the Doctor from the TARDIS. I don't like episodes whereby they can just go back and forth. Sometimes it depends on the story, obviously. But I think, like, if the Doctor's going to use the TARDIS, this Doctor can't even pilot the TARDIS very well anyway. It's kind of we go where we need, where it takes us. So there's no chance sort of up sticks and leaving. And being trapped on the base, bringing in the Cybermen. These Cybermen are creepy as hell. I love them to bits. And again, they're massive, and that's what they should be. Like, if you've got a Cyberman that's sort of up there, they're imposing as hell. I think they could have shot it a little bit differently to really sort of stress how big these Cybermen were. But I mean, look, I love the way it was shot anyway. And when they've got all that dramatic music playing, and they're showing those videos, and like, it's probably one of the best edits ever. Is literally that dramatic music is playing. The screen cuts out, and so does the music. Fantastic, absolutely bloody fantastic. Richard Beatty as well does a great job of becoming more frantic with his character, so that he starts off quite reasonable, but then becomes way more sporadic in his his movement. Because if you notice him in the first episode, he's kind of static. He's kind of just standing around talking to people. He's talking to people, but he's not really exploring the set. Whereas by episode 3, he is bouncing back and forth people. He is absolutely frantic energy. It's very nicely done. And again, the set design for that episode, it's not just that it's well put together, it's kind of believable that this base, this multi-story underground base for Antarctica is buried, so it's not going to be massive, it's not going to be this huge base. So the set reflects that by not being gigantic, but having a control center that looks good size, decent size. It's got plenty of computer banks in it, plenty of computer controls. It's not on one level, so the camera's forced to be on a crane, so you've got to crane up and crane over things. Looks amazing. Seeing it being recreated again in the Twice Upon a Time story that, again, it just didn't get used for, it's just crazy, because they were extremely faithful to recreating that set. And again, they filmed a lot more than simply just what they shot for Twice Upon a Time. There's an entire scene between, that moment where the Doctor says, fear, hate, have you no emotion, sir? And then that whole speech from the Cyberman, that's all filmed. That's all filmed in full color, HD, David Bradley, the whole thing. Was there a longer sequence planned then? Yeah, there's a full scenes. I mean, I think the one I saw was, it was over a minute of the deleted scenes and stuff. That was just, that's the only ones I've seen. I don't know how much it still exists, or how much existed for, the 10th planet. Let me just have a quick look here. I'm going to go through Twice Upon a Time, unused scenes. Holy hell! Yeah, there's quite a bit. Again, they never used it. They just didn't use the material. There's even the bit whereby, you know, at the end of 10th Planet, but then when it shows the Cybermen melting, they even did that with the crossfade as well. So they didn't make it look like they didn't like put in an effect like to make it look more impressive now than what it did back then. They actually sort of copied the melting effect by literally having the Cybermen just crossfade from a full suit into an empty suit. They done was like 1 minute 3 seconds. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll show you some of the stuff that you can see. So just to show you exactly how much they how much of the set they actually built. Let me just stop. If I no, this is probably gonna give me a strike, but sod it, I don't care. I mean, this is the set. Hopefully you're seeing that. It's very much very, very faithful to the episode. If we go straight through, I don't know, we'll run. I mean, the entire set has been rebuilt. All these sequences redone. The Cybermen going on the offensive. Yeah, it's a shame you. When he does this, you can actually see the sort of the crash map behind. I mean, I'm guessing it was meant to be shot from a different angle, but yeah, just wall up. But all of it. I mean, look at it. That effect is not how it was. Somebody's actually just added that effect in. It was just a simple crossfade. So yeah, so impressive. Again, why they didn't film episode 4? Just redo it. Just film the bloody missing episode. It was all there. Everything. That's what pisses me off with it. It's a lack of foresight from, like, why would you spend that amount of money on those sets, do that, and just not use it? I mean, from what you get from the episode, from Twice Upon a Time, which we'll see, you know, when we come around to watching it, it's just the briefest of glimpses, which is great. It's fantastic for, isn't that amazing? But that would have been amazing. Like, imagine them having filmed it. Just what I would have said. Imagine they'd filmed it, episode 4, then on, say, like BBC 2, right? A week before Christmas. Just show the 10th planet, and then the 4th episode be that. And then you go into the Christmas special, just rewatched this episode, and have it fit seamlessly into that end sequence from The Doctor Falls. I mean, it pisses me off. It's just like I can't describe it. It's like you just headbutt in the wall, going, what are you doing? How can you have the money to build all these sets, to do all those costumes, to get all these people, to get all these actors, to put all this in place, to copy and clone this so perfectly, and then go, I'm not going to use it. Just not going to use it. There we are. We'll just shove that aside and don't worry about it. It's just annoying. Just annoying. But anyway, yeah, 10th Planet as an episode overall. I mean, I don't know what you think, Ian, about this episode, but for me personally, as a sort of a build up to a regeneration, I like the fact that there is no mention of regeneration, or the Doctor starts acting a little bit weird when he comes round. But I don't like the fact that I don't like the fact that with these days that one, we know regeneration's a thing, but then they lean on it. Like Christopher Eccleston probably had one of the best ones, whereby he was just like, "Oh no, I've just done something that's going to kill me, and now I'm going to regenerate, and you're not going to like it." Whereas with like David Tennant, David Tennant was a bit of a. I give David Tennant a break on his regeneration because it was kind of the end of an era, you know, and it was the first real time we were having a big sort of regeneration episode. But then it got ridiculous with Matt Smith and going into Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi's regeneration episode, which we're going to see really, really soon. I don't know. I'll save what I think of Peter Capaldi's regeneration episode for when we watch it. But I mean, to me, the way they handled the regeneration episode, first of all, good story to go down. Great characters being introduced all round. Very well done. Again, I love those Cybermen. I would, now that they've got the Mondasian Cybermen, I would love to see the Mondasian Cybermen coming back. Because you don't need all the heavy clunky armor. You just don't need it. That's not what makes the character look great. First of all, it doesn't make them creepy. I don't think it makes them creepy anyway. I think the further away you get from the human, the less creepy it becomes. And when they start looking like tanks, yeah, they look like they're hard and dangerous. Maybe creepy, no. Very good story, and to introduce the change of a character, very clever. Yeah. I mean, we shouldn't skim over the fact that it is a clever change, a clever way to change the character. And again, it does change the entire lore of Doctor Who. Like the entire thing, landscape has changed completely. It gives us Patrick Troughton, and again, I can't knock that at all, because I think what's interesting is the fact that obviously, like, I had seen Patrick Troughton in Doctor Who when I was a kid, but it was really sort of the second Doctor in the two Doctor story with Colin Baker, and I had never really sort of growing up with sort of Colin Baker going into Sylvester McCoy. Sylvester McCoy is really the one I really remember from that sort of era. Though I do have instances of remembering, Peter Davison episodes and Colin Baker episodes. So those sorts of things, that's what you'd think of. Silver Nemesis is probably, unfortunately, one of my most remembered episodes from back then. Was to see the Cybermen come back and land in the cyber ship and the shuttle. I remember that vividly from back then. And Ace on the gantry, because he just looked like, bloody hell, I was high up. But when I've gone back and watched Classic Who, there's been something about Patrick Troughton that's just made me go, oh, this guy's really got it. Like, this guy has it on every single level. And again, I made mention of this a couple of weeks ago when talking about the Macro Terror. There's this little moment in Macro Terror whereby he's like, how did you get this formula? And the Doctor's just like, well, I knew the answer, I was just figuring out the question. But she's like, that is such a Doctor Who thing. And his delivery is just brilliant. And, he's a great character actor anyway. yeah, he just delivers the Doctor every time. And when we watch Power of the Daleks, he's going through this whole, he's the guy who decided to do the sort of higgledy-piggledy, not really, I'm feeling my face and all this stuff that's really lasted this entire time. So yeah, I mean, it's 10th Planet though. Says goodbye to Hartnell and the Hartnell era. Really a good note to go out on. I think compared to other Regeneration episodes, this was a good note to go out on. Like Planet of the Spiders, not a good note to go out on by comparison to this. Caves of Androzani, yes, I'll put that up there. Survival, well, we're going into Survival into the Doctor Who movie. Doctor Who movie doesn't deserve the shit that it gets given. Well, is it as good as this? Hell no. In fact, I don't think the Eccleston episode is as good as this either. Actually, now I think about it, the Bad Wolf and Part of the Ways. I don't think that it is. It's a good, fun episode, fun story. It doesn't need all the game show shit. With the android, that's really dated it. That's really dated that episode. All the Big Brother stuff. Whereas this still works. Still works very well. And the fact that they decided to set it in 1986, I mean, it's again talking previously about what they did with and how they cast for future characters. Normally, they do juxtaposition the character and cast against type. So that I think has made it hold up very, very well as well. Overall, though, as a Regeneration, as a goodbye episode to a Doctor, this is pretty good. This is pretty much. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite, because I still. I'm still gonna say that the David Tennant one was probably my favorite. I know the ending drags on a bit, but I'm okay with it. Caves of Androzani, still, again, that's very good. Legopolis, I'm going to put, I put it on par with Legopolis, this one. I like Legopolis. I think this one introduces a villain in a much better way. And more a villain to introduce. And again, we just talk about the Cybermen in this episode. Love the voice of the other Cybermen in this, because again, it's not so digitalized. Like with the 80s, 70s and 80s Cybermen tends to use the ring modulator. There's something about the way that these Cybermen talk that it's not right. The way they talk is just that little bit wrong. It's uncomfortable because it's like you're not finishing your sentences where you should. Your spacing of your words aren't correct. The way that you say a sentence as a Cyberman does not tally with how you should say a sentence normally, and it's because the emotion has been removed, so they attach no logic or meaning to. There's no anger there. There's no heat there. There's no cold there. It's just neutral. And it's this odd sort of cadence to the voice. New Cybermen, and again, much more the new Cybermen over the 80s and 70s Cybermen. It's just that blue light comes on, and then it's Nicholas Briggs with a ring modulator. And I'm already, and we know. I think I've pretty much made clear my feelings on what happens to the stories of Cybermen stories in New Who. I'm not really a fan. I would much like the, because again, these Cybermen had a point. These Cybermen aren't just there to wipe out and destroy. They're trying to save themselves. And the fact that that Polly can have a conversation with these Cybermen, that you can have a conversation with the Cybermen is a bloody bonus for one. But the fact that you can have a conversation with them, raise an argument, and have the Cybermen just go, no, that's not how this works. It doesn't work that way, and here's why. And the fact that they can actually raise an argument and actually make a really bloody good point. Like when Polly says to them, you're going to kill these people, and they're like, well, people die on your planet all the time, and you don't give a shit. Well, what's the difference? And you're like, well, that's pretty true. Like, what is the difference? Why don't you care? I mean, the difference there is hostility, but the Cybermen ain't wrong. It's a very, when you've got characters that can do that, give me more of that. I don't give a shit about, they've invaded this planet, now they're going to upgrade people. Don't care. I'm not interested. Just checked out. Okay, it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of run around. There's some explosions and pop up lasers and shit like that. Fair enough, but it means nothing if the characters don't do anything. The characters' motivations aren't worth shit. The story ain't worth shit. And these character motivations, pretty well delivered. We need to survive, and therefore we are going to drain your planet to service us, because we've logically deduced that we need to survive. It's very difficult to deal with that sort of argument. Now, in terms of storytelling, how does this fit with other Cyberman stories in terms of how the other Cybermen come about? So, these Cybermen, these Mondasian Cybermen, are apparently the ship that's... So Mondas is on its way back to Earth. It started converting the people into Cybermen after it's gone through its journey in space. They've managed to steer, they've managed to navigate the planet and turn it into a steerable ship, as it were. But other Cybermen have left Mondas, and have gone. Our Mondasians have left to go on the colony ship, which we see in World Enough and Time. Whether or not there was actual Mondasians on board or just Mondasian Cybermen, we don't know. I mean, I would assume there were Mondasians to begin with, but were there Mondasian Cybermen on board? I don't know. Where is that ship eventually going? Who can say? Planet 14 is probably the most logical. As for Marinus, when they develop Cybermen, I don't think we ever get to see those Cybermen, which is something that I would like to do. But again, when we talk about Marinus, I mentioned earlier about the planet from Ghost Monument. I think that would be a really, really, really nice tie-in, because that planet was made cruel, and we never really got to see why or how. And I think that if that was made Marinus, and we got to see that there's this vault, and we go back to that planet, and there's this vault on that planet, and it turns out that inside that vault is nothing but Cybermen. It would make sense, because they've got all these scientists that have been working to come up with new devices and new gadgets and new ways of essentially not just weapons, but new ways of surviving on the planet. And that would, to me, that would make total sense. It's like, right, this planet is really bloody dangerous, and the only way we can survive is to make Cybermen. And I think that would play in extremely well. And again, I make no bones about it. I would love to see those cybermen, same as the Mondasian cybermen, just without the surgical sock. You know, just make it nasty. Make it look like that looks like it hurts. You know, I understand why you're wearing those handlebars now, because that looks like it's painful as shit. And yeah, I think you know it's now 10:30 now. We've done the 4 episodes. So next week it's going to be World Enough and Time plus The Doctor Falls, and the week after that, then we're going to do Twice Upon a Time. So I'm happy to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and talking about the 10th planet. I've certainly enjoyed it. Great episode, good story, good send off for William Hartnell, and yeah, it ties in nicely. I even like the fact that at the end of the 10th planet, Ben and Polly are outside the TARDIS, because it means that it's, you know, the doors have been locked, TARDIS has gone somewhere and come back. Not necessarily, I mean, we're like retconning it, you know, mentally retconning it. But I think it works very, very well to sort of tie in nicely. And whoever thought that up, I mean, we know it was Stephen Moffat who wrote the episode. But I mean, like, to choose that moment specifically, how you know, the Doctor leaves and there's this moment, this fraction of a second, or no, couple of minutes, maybe at most, where he's separated from Ben and Polly, and go, oh no, we can write an entire episode into this gap because he can travel through time. So, just great stuff, just fantastic stuff. And again, now having seen some of the bits that are missing, I would like to. I hope on Twice Upon a Time on the DVD. I haven't got the DVD. On Twice Upon a Time, I hope that they've got all the missing scenes. I would hope so. But anyway, yeah, I'm fairly much done. I've got really very little else to say about this episode of Doctor Who, other than great directing, good looking costumes, good looking set, good cast. The musical score was, for 60s Doctor, it wasn't trying to be weird, you know, Doctor Who 70s music, when it's being weird and eerie, tends to be very, very just weird noises. This wasn't. This had a musical score, and it sounded good. So yeah, out of 10, if I had to give this episode a rating out of 10, I'm gonna give it a pretty decent score of, like, you know, it's gonna get about an 8, and I think that's you know, I'm discounting all the things that that I think could have been changed, and there's very little that I would change. I mean, you know, you change the model shots, you change the you know, some of the pacing, because again, episode 3. It's a little bit of a slump in the story, but even so, there's enough there to keep you tied in. That's pretty much it, really. There's not a whole hell of a lot wrong with this episode. You could make it bigger. You could expand on the sets. You could expand on, you know, but really, it's not going to benefit the story any. The story's going to play out exactly the same. So in terms of storytelling, I've got it. I'm going to give it an 8. 8 out of 10. That's not a bad score. That was a 7 to 8. Yeah. I think I you know, there are much worse episodes of Doctor Who than this, and as a Hartnell episode as well. And again, I don't know why people think that a Hartnell episode would be worse. I think that they just haven't experienced the first Doctor. They haven't sat through, you know, they've looked at it being in black and white now, and kind of, there's some, not all, some new Whovians are in fact taken their time to go back and watch the classics, and I think a lot are being surprised by just how good the quality is. I mean, you've got to look past the hokey effects because that's what they had at the time, and really and truly, even the best effects in the cinemas at the time, some of them were pretty appalling. And these, I think, I mean, these descend. But I think what was good with 60s Doctor Who more than anything else was that if the effects were below a certain quality, they wouldn't do it. They'd be like, we can't do that, so let's not do it. Let's not try to do that because it's going to look shit. And then they would write their way around it. All good storytelling. And we end up with a good, as far as I'm concerned, a very good episode. So that's where we leave that. 10th Planet, good episode. Next week, World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. And I shall see you then next week at 8 o'clock for more Doctor Who. Take care. Thank you for joining me, Ian.